So we are about to be joined by Savena Surana and Arda Awais. I hope I said that right, but Savena
They can correct us.
Arda,
in person.
welcome. Have a seat on the couch, please. Wave at the camera as you go. I think somebody should sit there and someone should sit there because that's the best. And then Julian, you and I will sit on this end.
Okay, so
yeah.
Here.
Okay.
There we go, perfect.
Optimal camera time. We're on camera too much. So could you, for those of us just joining us, we have two people involved with the Goethe-Institut's Generation A who are also the co-founders of something called Identity 2.0. But like a lot of our guests, I think you wear many hats. So could you each introduce yourselves, say your name, and whatever affiliations you want to represent in this case?
Yeah, I'll start. So my name is Arda Awais. I work as an experience designer and creative technologist. And I co-founded Identity 2.0 with Savena. And we are a creative studio that works at the intersection of digital rights, technology, and identity.
And I'm Savena. I'm the other half of Identity 2.0. I'm a full-time marketer for a children's charity, but Identity 2.0 is our passion project that has expanded to be way more than just our weekends. So yeah.
Cool. I mean, just as a baseline, could you say where you met and how Identity 2.0 started? Just, the groundwork there.
Sure. So Arda and I have been friends since university. So we've been friends for too many years now.
Yeah. Too many to count.
And we both, when we graduated, started working in the tech field, kind of both encountered issues we had with data privacy as GDPR was coming into practice. And we just had a lot of questions and a lot of questions we couldn't answer, and we were quite frustrated that there wasn't easy ways to find out about, what is Google doing with my information?
Yeah,
I don't need I don't need a law degree to be able to understand that. And so we came together and figured out, well, what can we do about it? And that's how Identity 2.0 was really born.
And did it start first, a website, an information point, or what was your first vision of what this would be, what form it would take?
So Savena and I both really enjoy making art, and we're both artists in our own right. And I think when we were discussing our frustrations, we wanted to make something that was accessible, but also something that was fun, something we enjoyed, and also other people could learn from. You didn't need to have a certain degree or need to be from a certain background to kind of engage in it. So we felt like art was a perfect medium to do so because it's for everyone. And we really wanted to make an exhibition. I would love to sit here and tell you we thought it out and we were like, exhibition's the perfect thing. But it was just something that we both resonated with and something both our skill sets kind of enabled us to do. So we started off kind of thinking, okay, let's do a one night only pop-up exhibition in London. And we created a feature manifesto which outlines 7 ways we want our data to be treated in the future. And our exhibition really looked at those kind of different themes. And then it wasn't just one night only. It's been 3 years
later.
3 years, wow.
So it started as this initial gesture, but you realized you were quite effective at communicating your concerns and your vision. So why not turn this into something that's actually a service that companies or organizations can work with you to facilitate? Is that right? Am I understanding what it is now?
Yeah, so we kind of we've been able to work with companies and kind of services and even charities, gone in and done talks about how to make data privacy fun, how to make it accessible, how it doesn't just have to sit with your HR department and you kind of get scared of looking at your privacy policy. Yeah. But we've also collaborated with other organizations to produce art and digital experiences that kind of explore what it means to exist online as well. So we've got kind of both ways that you can kind of work with us and that we enjoy working with data as well.
Cool. Just quickly, if anybody who's listening wants to also look at you online while they're listening, can you just say the URL?
Yeah, so it's at www.identity20.org.
Okay, so identity20.org if you want to follow along and check out the projects in real time. And put your questions into the chat, as our colleague can also send them to us and we can relay them and have them answered also. I mean, I have 2 questions off the bat, but maybe you do too, or?
Well, yes, I do have some questions as well.
I just realized I was talking a bit.
I think one thing though, maybe that gives some description or some character to your project is when I first visited the website, I realized like all of the writing was really like snappy and like little jokes. It felt very much
like advertising copy.
Yeah, but then and at first I was like, whoa, like data privacy. I'm not used to this voice with data privacy discussion. But then I realized what it really was making a sort of frictionless explanation to this topic that might be a bit opaque to certain people, or just boring and they don't want to deal with it. Is this sort of engineering of frictionlessness in terms of explaining these complicated topics? Is it something you, in general, like as a service, you could apply to other areas that are necessary for educating people about that might not be so exciting?
First of all, thank you. Great compliments. I definitely think it's a part of the ethos of how we operate. We want to make this quite clunky, quite boring, because it is sometimes boring, topic more accessible. And we can definitely see it being applied to when you look at, UX patterns and dark patterns on the website about how you get people to click on a certain area. Why does it have to be like that? Can we rethink that and make it frictionless? Can we make it easier, but not in a way that is obscuring, how your information is being used, or is purposely hiding kind of not some shady privacy practices as well. And so we feel that, privacy is often presented as an obstacle to get into what you want it to, like where you want to go as well. And it doesn't have to be like that. And I hope, our ethos and our practices are living examples that it doesn't have to be that way.
I mean, one practical question. So yesterday, Frederica Kalthoiner joined us. I don't know, maybe you heard her on the panel with Dirk Becker. And we asked her here, we said, okay, well, you say we shouldn't feel too guilty about accepting all when the GDPR notice comes up, because that's a company like misimplementing the GDPR policy guidelines, and the burden should not be on the individual user, like, et cetera. But my question is especially for young people, what is something tangible, practical that they can do to either raise their awareness of how these systems work, or to, advocate for better privacy? You do an excellent job of communicating how these systems work, so I guess going to your website is a good starting place. But just what do you and your friends, like, what is your general protocol for engaging in these digital spaces? Like, what is like a best practice? Because it's true, like, I am not going to say, I'm not going to not accept all if I'm just trying to order a pizza, right? Like, I'm not, and probably, especially young people, who are living so much online, are not going to. So what's your baseline advice?
So firstly, I do agree with the sentiment she made yesterday. It shouldn't all be on the one user. But obviously, we live in a space where the big tech platforms who should be changing it aren't really changing it. So Savena and I actually, this is a question we've gotten a lot, especially after our first exhibition and since then. And we developed a data toolkit on our website. And we released that January 2020, so last year. And it gives you just helpful tips of how you can start protecting yourself online. It's really simple things of like downloading a VPN or using a plugin to like mismatch your kind of history for Google, so it can't really like tag you as much as it does now, or using a different search engine like DuckDuckGo, for examples, or not using WhatsApp or using Telegram or Signal. So little things we can do, but I also think a huge part of it is conversation, like having these conversations with your friends. So more people talking about it and more people wanting a change and being active in how they engage with the platforms is how then we will make a movement, and that's how then things will change. If we just all kind of just get frustrated and don't talk about it, then nothing will really change, because they've already made an obstacle for us. So it's like, oh, they're accepting it, so let's just continue to do what we do and we get all the benefits. So there's some small things you can do, and you can visit if you are on our website, you can visit our website and look at our data toolkit. But also having active conversations, I would say.
Also, one thing that I always find quite shocking is if you want some education on what's happening, download your data. Under GDPR, you can request all your data. If you do that through Google, it's quite petrifying, but it's a good way of just being like, oh, that is literally
I am the product.
I am, yeah. And then it's like, that's only the things they want to show me. They're not showing me what guesses and inferences they're making about me. And so it's all your YouTube history, all your Google search history, all your maps, all your location data. If you have an Android, that's everything on your phone as well.
Wow.
So as a way of just kind of a shock to the system and just a useful exercise, just if you want to even start thinking about, what is out there about me, just request your data. Facebook, Google, they are required to give it to you.
And are you ever able to see how you're categorized?
So on Facebook, you can kind of see sometimes how things you've liked and how you've what advertisers you've interacted with. On Twitter, you can see advertisers you've interacted with, and there's a huge list of people you've probably never heard before as well.
Wow, right.
But yeah, I'm probably sure there's some amazing scientists who can do that as well.
I think on Instagram you can see different groups they've put you in, but it doesn't, obviously they give you what they want to give you, but it's still,
right, of course.
it's still quite shocking because when you do download your data, there's a lot of things that you don't think they know. You're like, oh my God, they also capture this and they also capture this and they also capture this. So it's quite overwhelming. So I would say also be prepared for that.
Yeah. You can see what shell is being built around you.
Yeah. But, that is an interesting expansion of sort of data ownership or rights. Why don't we have the right to know their inferences and categorizations of us? Is there any broader conversation about that or anything?
Especially across languages. So you're based in London or in the UK. I wonder, maybe it's difficult to coordinate with someone, say, in China because of the Great Firewall, but are you talking to anyone in Chile? Are you talking to anyone in Australia? Or how is a global network maybe emerging?
I think for Savena, last year was a kind of a huge moving point for us to have more conversations with people outside of London. Obviously, we were peak pandemic, and everything everyone was doing was online. And at a point, our only identities became our digital identities. And I think so. What Savena and I did during when we were in lockdown in the UK is we created a digital exhibition called Control Plus U. You can see a snippet of it on our website, but it's taken down now. And from that is really where we got an international audience. We got people who joined our community from South America to around Europe to America to parts of Africa. And that's now been a great privilege to us to be able to have these conversations. A lot of kind of organizations that we've been following as well was a great chance for us to share that digital exhibition with them and then start those conversations. And I think now we're starting to build a little bit of a more kind of community outside of the UK. And it's been really interesting because then we get different perspectives and understand what's going on in different parts of the world and how something that we do might be different and things like that.
And we get challenged as well. We did a day festival called the Open Garden, which was a day of digital exploration, exploring the relationship between race and technology. And we had 4 workshop practitioners, and they were all women of color working in tech. But the range of people that we had were just so diverse as well. And 17 countries, I think, we reached. And it was just such a great day and such great conversations we were able to facilitate. So for us as well, we can make those connections, but it's great to see people making connections because of the work we've done as well. And that reaches beyond just, London, it's across the world.
Do you have a proprietary or any kind of platform where people interested in Identity 2.0 can convene, like a Discord or some other messaging app or some other Web 2.5, as we're calling it, right, space? How does your community find each other?
We're trying to figure that out right now.
I know it's a question.
It's a good question. It's a valid question. And I think, after kind of the work we've done on that last day of festival, I think we've really seen the value in that. And so I can't confidently say where it will be next, but just sign up to our newsletter and we'll be able to keep you updated.
And so you have a newsletter?
Yeah, we have a newsletter.
Okay, so subscribe via Identity 2.0.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I was curious. We have an online community. Ours is based on Discord, and one of the most common challenges or criticisms we receive, and one we don't have a good answer for, is why aren't we on something open source?
Right.
I'm curious. You listed Riot as an example of an open source platform similar to Slack or Discord, but that does not have a centralized oversight that might be storing your data or selling it or whatever else. Are there any platforms like this? Particularly for social media is so integral to our life, and we don't really have many options for alternatives that aren't based on a model of advertising and
Where we're the
sucking up all of
product.
your
Yeah,
data,
right,
where
right.
we're the product. I wonder if there are any platforms that you think are gaining some potential, or that you imagine could scale in the future in a way that might challenge the dominant platforms
You're right,
now.
especially as we get into Web3, or the expanded definition of that, not necessarily like tokenized communities, but just like maybe some kind of blockchain activity.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting question, because obviously the work we do is trying to transform the current platforms we have.
Yeah.
There are interesting experiments happening right now with trying to create new platforms. And so, for example, I saw an artist that was making a social media platform that you can only post 10 times to. That's it. That's at the end of it. So you really have to think about what you're curating on it, how far you're going with it, and then those 10 posts, how long are they going to last on there for? And so I think there are interesting thought experiments happening at the moment. And I think Discord and kind of Twitch and the growing gaming kind of community that you've definitely seen explode over the past 18 months.
Yeah.
I think is a really, I think they all have rich kind of examples of things they do really well. And I think, I just don't think we're there yet with another great alternative that pulls all those things that make it so easy to use, but also a great way to connect.
Yeah.
There's just nothing yet in the pipeline that I've seen anyway.
Me neither.
But as I said, really interesting work happening there. But maybe in 6 months' time, I will be completely wrong and be like, everyone's using this thing.
But I mean, it's true. Like Twitter, Facebook. We know Facebook's here to stay. Thank you, Meta. Or whatever. So I mean, we can't totally just abandon them, because they'll be there. And also for the people who have like the Facebook phone, or people who like maybe have like less access to big network systems.
Right, in some parts of the South, it's like you have free data as long as you're using the Facebook platform and universe, so WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram.
Right, so it's we need to still think about these overlords. I mean, we're worried about AI overlords. Like, really, it's just the big platforms themselves and whatever
just
AI
one
they
guy
use,
on
they
a
use.
hydrofoil.
Exactly. So it's cool that there's thinking happening. Since we only have 2 demands, first of all, are there any shout outs? No, sorry.
2 minutes?
2 minutes. I said
2 minutes
I was about
and
oh my gosh, I'm at burnout level. We have 2 minutes. I was going to ask what your top demands were for the big platforms, and then also if there were any organizations beyond Identity 2.0 that you wanted to shout out.
Yeah, I can start with the shout outs.
Okay.
So there's lots of different grassroots organizations that we work with and that we really like kind of advocate for as well. So like Ricebox Studios, definitely Ricebox Studios. They kind of teach people, people of color and people from marginalized communities around AR and deep fakes. Hatsuya, which is a data ethics company, which has lots of different kind of meetups every month, which are really, really, really interesting. CRIN, we've worked with them personally as well. They are the Children's Rights International Network, and they talk about how online children are the most vulnerable because people make their rights for them. And World Wide Web Foundation, we love them. We've worked with them before as well. Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Cool. That's a great list to keep us going. And I guess, do we have time for the second part of this, or should we probably transition? Maybe we leave it at that.
Okay. No
You'll find the
worries.
demands on identity20.org. Arda and Savena, thank you so much for joining us. And maybe we also see you on stage tomorrow as part of Generation A.
See me on stage,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So if you are in Dresden, maybe you will be around a bit. I'm sure you can ask them questions. If not, contact them on their site. We are now going to go to 2 panels. Again, you'll have the option to listen to the Deutsches Hygiene-Museum panel in German or in English. And then there's the global stage, which will be in English. So we have alternative AI futures, and the other panel is intelligent tech in the hands of a few, tech platforms in digital capitalism. So thank you, and we will see you after the panels.